Hello, everybody, and welcome back to this week's episode of Beyond the Ropes. I am so delighted to have you guys join us. I'm joined by my co-host, Laurie. How are you doing, Laurie?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well. I'm excited to get into the topic of, Jake Paul, shockingly.
One of my favourites.
Yeah, me and you both. But in the context of what's kind of taken place over the last 48 hours or so, let me give you guys a breakdown. So essentially, the Super Bowl took place. And in the halftime show, we saw a phenom, which is Bad Bunny. And he put on such magical performance. And it was, hugely watched, hugely appreciated. I think by a lot of people. But I'll tell you some people who didn't appreciate it. Number one, Donald Trump, who surprise, right? Put out a statement just being like, turn off this fake halftime show. This is the worst halftime show I've ever seen. He was agitated, to say the least. Which obviously, doesn't surprise us. But what was a bit more surprising for me is the fact that Jake Paul then put out a statement himself, and I'm going to read it to you. So he said, turn off this halftime, a fake American citizen performing who publicly hates America. I cannot support that. Before we go further into saying kind of what the response of that has been, I want to get your take on it, Laurie.
Right, so I watched the Super Bowl. I'm not a massive American football fan, but I do make the effort and stay up late for Super Bowl nights. And of course, one of the attractions in watching the Super Bowl, Melissa, as you know, is the halftime show. Now, there'd been a lot of talk about the halftime show in the lead up to the Super Bowl. The right wing of the American media and the right wing politically seemed to have a problem with Bad Bunny because they said that he was going to do the show in Spanish, which he did. Some people seem to have a problem with that, which, to be honest with you, I can't really see why that would be a huge problem. But anyway, Bad Bunny is Puerto Rican. And last time I checked, Melissa, if you're Puerto Rican, you're an American citizen. So those comments from Jake Paul, number one, imbecilic. They're also very ignorant and shows a person that doesn't know what he's talking about, not for the first time with Jake Paul. And let's be honest, Melissa, Jake Paul is a bit of a MAGA shrill, isn't he? We've seen this with him before.
100%.
He's openly outspoken about being a MAGA man. Listen, that's his right, but things like this, you need to get your facts right, mate. Bad Bunny is Puerto Rican, and by virtue he's an American citizen, he's Puerto Rican. The other thing that struck me about that, Melissa, is the sheer ignorance of Jake Paul's comments. Now, this is a man, by the way, who lives in Puerto Rico. He lives in Puerto Rico, and you're disrespecting Puerto Ricans. Amanda Serrano, who's his flagship women's fighter on the MVP promotions that he co-owns or whatever, or has got a big, massive involvement with. She's their flagship fighter. She's Puerto Rican. That's a big disrespect to her, big disrespect to the Puerto Rican people. It's very ignorant. It's very classless. Kind of in keeping, I've got to say, with how I consider
It's on brand.
Jake Paul to be as a person.
Yeah, it's on brand. It's totally on brand. I think you've touched on some really important points there. Number one, you live in Puerto Rico. What are you doing? Number two, learn a little.
And he lives there, by the way, for tax reasons.
Yeah,
let's be honest.
yeah,
Not
obviously.
because
you're enamored by the culture and country.
Rico.
Yeah.
You move there because it's convenient for you, and the fact that it allows you to evade paying large amounts of tax.
Yeah. Number two, how are you going to disrespect Puerto Rico when your flagship female is proud and patriotic, right? It doesn't make any sense on so many different levels. He also, in his statement, said something about, we can't let big corporations do whatever they want. And I'm thinking, but you have that level of entitlement in everything that you do.
He's the very epitome of corporate elitism, the way he's come into boxing.
100%.
And just try to manipulate the situation in boxing, which, let's face it, is so underregulated. It's allowed someone like him to come in and basically manipulate and pimp out boxing is the term I like to use.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it sums up what he's doing in essence.
Absolutely. But, his statement was soaked in so much ignorance. And it was disappointing, not surprising, but it was absolutely disappointing to see. What happened off the back of that is Amanda Serrano very quickly put out a statement saying that, that characterization is wrong. Anyone who's questioning, citizenship of Americans is wrong. And she can't support it. Also to say that this Bad Bunny performance came in the context of what's been going on in America with ICE and, you know, their crackdown on the Latino and ethnic minority communities. So it was a pivotal moment, and it made a lot of people very proud. I watched it and I was really choked up by it because I thought it was amazing. He came out and he listed all of the countries in the Americas, of which the United States is a part of, and he made sure it didn't come first or last, which I thought was a great move. And I think on the American football, he had written, you know, like, I think it was something like, "Together we are more powerful," and then there was a sign behind him that said something about that same sort of message of love transcending hate. And yeah, it was a beautiful thing.
No, I watched the performance. I thought it was an amazing. Listen, I don't know any Spanish. I'm obviously not a Spanish speaker. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I could understand the words, because I didn't. But what I did understand was it was a very powerful performance. The production was amazing. And the way the production was presented, it almost made you feel for that time you were watching like you're in Puerto Rico.
100%.
They managed to demonstrate and highlight all the very best of Puerto Rico in that performance.
And Latin America as a whole.
As a whole, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because he had a bunch of Latin American artists that also joined him. I heard a rumor that he wanted Drake to come and join him, but Drake didn't want to take away the limelight from him. So he actually said, you know, politely declined it. Fair play. I thought that was cool. Yeah. And I don't know, for Jake Paul to just completely miss that message was really disappointing. Really disappointing, but not surprising. Anyway, Amanda Serrano's hit back and said, "I can't support that." MVP have then put out a statement saying that they don't support that either. You know, everyone felt that they needed to distance themselves from that, because they probably realized, like, oh, this is, you know, politically super insensitive, really like tough time.
No, not just that, just downright disrespectful.
Well, it is, of course it is.
You know what I mean?
But, you know, like, maybe not everyone would take such a strong opinion on it as you and I.
Now, listen, if he didn't want to watch Bad Bunny, right, which clearly didn't, why didn't you watch the alternative show that was put on by Turning Point USA, which is very Jake Paul? You could have watched your boy Kid Rock, who, by the way, got less than 5 million compared to the 135 million. Yes, I'm going to say it again, 135 million that watched Bad Bunny. A record, by the way, Melissa, for halftime Super Bowl performances. I thought the guy was brilliant. And like I said, I'm not really into reggaeton and Latin music that much. I've heard some of it. But just by watching that guy, I could appreciate how good he was.
It was amazing.
It was fantastic. And I'm not saying that lightly. I actually do. We would be talking off camera about it when I met up with Melissa earlier today. So the guy's talking nonsense. As you said, Melissa, soaked in ignorance. But, Melissa, this is not the first time that Jake Paul's done stuff like this. And I've called him out for it before. If you remember, when he fought Anthony Joshua, I thought this was quite disrespectful. He had himself and his cornermen, who are black, by the way, come to the ring in Hulk Hogan tribute shirts and colours. Reason why I say that about Hulk Hogan is that Hulk Hogan, as apart from his wrestling, what was he known for? Being a virulent racist. Now, Jake Paul adopting the colours, I thought that was, he knew what he was doing there. You knew what you were doing, Jake Paul. But people like me have sussed you out. We know what time you're on. You know what I'm saying?
Well, when he puts out statements like that, I think it just demonstrates exactly the kind of person that he is. And I think that it's very powerful that his flagship female boxer, the person that gave him the segue to attracting other female boxers, immediately distanced himself. MVP, as in the promotional company of which he has shares and a huge influence in, immediately distanced himself.
I'm not all the way impressed with him, though, because I just think they've done that for business purposes.
It doesn't matter. What I think it suggests is, you know, I'm not saying it came from a place of integrity. It may have done, may not have done. I don't know. I'm not them. But I think it just suggests, like, no, dude, you've crossed the line here. If your own company is going, no, actually, I don't want to be part of that. Yeah. And then what then followed was him putting out, as you know, put it very aptly earlier, a half-baked apology.
Yeah, half-assed retraction.
Which read...
didn't contain the words, I apologise or anything like that.
No.
Much like his mate Donald Trump.
Yeah.
That's straight out of the Donald Trump playbook.
Absolutely. I'll read you guys the tweet that he put out as a half-baked apology. It said, "Guys, I love Bad Bunny. I don't know what happened on my Twitter last night. WTF." I mean...
Again, ignorant.
Like, if you're going to do it, then just do it properly. Like, for you to say, oh, I love Bad Bunny, like, you're not even addressing the fact that you've been like
Where's the
totally
apology?
inappropriate. There's not an apology. He's just basically claiming that his Twitter was taken over by someone, which I don't buy.
If you've offended a country of people or a race of people, to then so-called retract your statement and not include a genuine, sincere apology, to me, no one wants to hear that.
No.
That's fake.
Yeah, it is fake.
Much like Jake Paul.
Fake
The only
Paul.
thing he's not faking, by the way, is exposing who he is really. Because as I've said to you off camera, and I'm more than happy to say it again, the thing with people like Jake Paul is that when you have money in life, it often amplifies the type of person you are. Now, if you've followed Jake Paul for any length of time, you will see that he's got history of being offensive going way back to when he was doing his initial YouTube videos. This guy's not a nice guy. He's a very ignorant and stupid young man, classless, and he says a lot of offensive things. And you've only got to see the way he conducts himself in boxing, disrespecting the boxers, disrespecting the fight game. He thinks because he's got money, he can allow to just get away with doing what he wants. This is him, in essence.
Absolutely.
And I've got absolutely no time for the guy. By the way, how's his jaw going? How's that coming on? But yeah, I mean, listen, I've got absolutely no time for Jake Paul. And in some ways, I'm kind of, I guess I should phrase this carefully because I don't want to offend Puerto Ricans, but in a way, when things like this happen, like I said, it just shines a light on who the person is. So I'm not surprised at all this has happened because he's a MAGA shrill, we know that. And he's clearly not the smartest, he's a bit of a dumbass, and he's exposed himself.
100%. I mean, you got to be really, really, really damn dumb to put out a statement like that in light of everything that's going on, in light of who's in your stable. Like, you got to be the dumbest, really. But I'd be interested to know how his personal relationship with Amanda Serrano moves on from this point, you know, because whether she buys it, whether she thinks that the Twitter was taken over, whether she doesn't really buy it, but she keeps a good face going for the fact that she's part of MVP. It'll just be interesting to see how that develops.
I guess she's in a difficult situation because obviously she would have been offended, which is what moved her to make the statement. And shout out to her for doing that, because I can
100%.
imagine there would have been a lot of people in her position who could have turned a blind eye to it and not said anything. But we know that she's very proud Puerto Rican, as Puerto Ricans tend to be. I mean, I met a few. I've seen what happens in boxing. They're very proud, patriotic people. I'm sure wholesale they would have been offended by this. How dare he say that? Especially when it's not even true. But anyway, she's in a difficult situation. She would have spoken out about it. I'm pretty sure she'll meet with him in private and they'll have words. And at the end of the day, she's contracted to them, so I don't see her.
Oh no, I don't.
Affected.
Yeah,
she will be professional. But I would imagine that her and people close to her will be saying, look, this guy, man, he's not what you thought he was.
quite right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what I would be saying to her anyway.
100%. Well, guys, do let us know in the comments what you made of the whole situation, what your thoughts were on the Bad Bunny performance and Jake Paul's response to it, whether you buy his apology as well.
There was no apology.
Well, the half-baked statement.
Yeah, the half-baked so-called retraction.
Yes.
What did you make of it?
Yeah, what did you make of it? Indeed. Thank you so much for joining us on this week's episode of Beyond the Ropes. Make sure to comment, like, share, and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next episode.